A deadly confrontation caught on camera. A U.S. immigration officer shoots and kills a woman. No! The outrage?
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
And how the White House is justifying the killing. Also on this Wednesday night, the widespread damage on a Manitoba First Nation. The people left displaced after a destructive power outage in freezing weather. Venezuela's deepening humanitarian crisis spilling over into Colombia as the U.S. seizes 2 Russian-flagged oil tankers. Plus, smart bricks.
This one is farting, they are laughing.
The new innovation from Lego and why it's worrying critics.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The tensions around the immigration crackdown underway across the United States have reached a flashpoint. A federal immigration officer shot and killed a 37-year-old woman in Minneapolis today. There is video from people who witnessed the incident. We are showing some of it, and viewers may find it disturbing. This is one angle showing how the shooting unfolded as ICE agents approached the vehicle. The head of Homeland Security was quick to claim the driver had attempted to run over and kill federal officers. She calls it domestic terrorism. Local and state officials, including the governor of Minnesota, are refuting that, calling it propaganda and urging Americans not to believe it.
We've been warning for weeks that the Trump administration's dangerous, sensationalized operations are a threat to our public safety, that someone was going to get hurt, and today that recklessness cost someone their life.
The governor has called for calm, and thousands of people in Minneapolis have begun to gather in a vigil for the dead woman. Touria Izri has our top story tonight.
Social media video shows ICE agents pulling up to an SUV on a suburban street. An officer then opens fire, killing the 37-year-old woman behind the wheel. This witness says he saw it all unfold.
The agent who was on the driver's side originally, who was not pulling on the handle but had been there prior to that, shot 2 or 3 times through the driver's side window. The car drove a 30-40 feet and crashed into another car in the telephone pole.
After the deadly confrontation, protests erupted in the city, now at the center of U.S. President Donald Trump's latest immigration crackdown. The mayor of Minneapolis condemned the shooting as reckless and delivered this message.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here.
It was an act of domestic terrorism.
Speaking in Texas, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem defended ICE's actions as self-defense.
A woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bull.
On Tuesday, the Trump administration began deploying 2,000 federal agents to the city, calling it the largest immigration operation ever. It's tied in part to allegations of fraud involving members of the Somali community. On social media, Trump called the woman who was screaming in the video a professional agitator and claimed the driver viciously ran over the ICE officer. He also blamed the radical left.
We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough.
A fatal escalation, inflaming tensions in Minneapolis and across the United States. Touria Izri, Global News, Montreal.
Now to a crisis unfolding in a northern Manitoba community. Thousands of people have been forced out of their homes in the Pimicikamak Cree Nation because of a power outage in the middle of winter. That led to frozen and burst pipes in more than 200 homes and public buildings. Power has since been restored, but there's no timeline for when residents can return. Today, political and Indigenous leaders flew in to see firsthand how bad things are. Our Ridgen is there too. Melissa.
Donna, we're at the Emergency Distribution Center here in Pimicikamak. The damage to this community can only be described as catastrophic. There's hundreds of homes unlivable due to burst pipes and water pumps, and critical infrastructure that serves the 3,000 residents has been crippled. Water treatment staff have been working around the clock since December 28th, bracing for the worst. This old infrastructure barely working on a good day. It was hit hard when the community froze solid for days.
This thing is outdated. It's expired.
Thanks to staff here, water is flowing to delivery trucks now, but it's straight from the Nelson River, untested and needing to be boiled. These plumbers have just started the tedious process of evaluating damage in each of the 1,300 homes here.
I feel for them, eh? I feel for them. I've been working for 40 years for the community, and I just want to help them live it. But it's impossible to do everything just like that, eh?
Even when we do get everything online, we're going to find even more issues because now we'll find out what's split inside the houses.
Water isn't the only enemy. 4 homes lost from space heaters shorting out or overheating. After a week in the news, government officials and politicians came to see the damage firsthand.
I was happy that they came here, but we shouldn't have to have a meeting for us to be believed that there is a problem that's happening here.
He wants the military sent in to help get infrastructure up and running, and Indigenous Services Canada to fund it. Premier Wab Kinew appeared in a supporting role, but says Manitoba Hydro needs to consider improvements to avoid future disasters.
The ask was put to the armed forces, so we don't want to get in the way of anyone getting the help that they need. So certainly we'll support that.
It remains to be seen if the military will be called. Indigenous Services Canada says they'll help the community to recover, but it will take millions of dollars and many months to get people back into their homes if they're salvageable or build them new ones. Donna.
All right, Melissa Ridgen on the Pimicikamak Cree Nation. Thanks. The city of Calgary is still dealing with the aftermath of a second catastrophic break of a major water main. And today, a report into the first one revealed the problem stemmed from more than 20 years of poor decision making. The first rupture happened in 2024, and the line burst again just before New Year's, plunging the city into a winter of water restrictions. Heather Yurix West reports on the findings and what other cities can learn from them.
As crews remove the latest section of the Calgary Bears Paw feeder main to fail, a new report has found that problems with this critical piece of infrastructure began more than 20 years ago, when the line first ruptured in 2004.
Many other municipalities, based on that knowledge back in the mid-2000s, took more aggressive measures with respect to redundancy or inspection or maintenance on that network of pipe. We did not in Calgary.
After a 9-month review, an independent review panel did not lay blame on any particular council or employee, but found that Calgary's failure to have a dedicated department or board that was ultimately accountable for water infrastructure allowed key components like this feeder main to degrade. The panel says moving forward, Calgary should create a municipally owned corporation like EPCOR in Edmonton to manage water infrastructure.
There are literally hundreds of utilities around North America that follow this model and are all seen to be run prudently and with good reliability outcomes.
This current repair is expected to take another week, but Calgarians have been told to expect more breaks and further water restrictions until this line can be fully replaced within the next 2 years.
We are now in a new reality of water conservation, of this ticking time bomb beneath our streets.
But despite pleas from the mayor and emergency officials to conserve water, city consumption levels have risen since the start of the new year.
We need to continue as well to work with our top 200 industrial and commercial users. About 2/3 of Calgary's water use is from households, but the remaining third we also need to be considering.
It's why the city is now asking employers to let staff work from home as they navigate a water crisis expected to last many months. Heather Yurix West, Global News, Calgary.
The United States has seized 2 Russian-flagged oil tankers in high-risk operations at sea. The Trump administration says the ships were part of a so-called dark fleet used to evade sanctions. It's working to choke off most exports of Venezuelan crude oil and take control of the supply itself. Russia has condemned the move, calling it illegal. Jackson Prosco has more on how it happened and what could come next.
In 2 daring raids, U.S. Special Forces intercepted 2 different tankers at sea.
The oil blockade, the quarantine of oil out of unsanctioned or stateless vessels continues.
In the North Atlantic, the Russian flag tanker Marinera was intercepted by the U.S. Coast Guard. The ship slipped through the U.S. naval blockade of Venezuela weeks ago and changed its name and flag country at sea. A Russian submarine was also en route to intercept. The Americans got there first. A second ship, the Sophia, was intercepted in the Caribbean, accused of conducting illicit activities.
They're stateless under international law, giving basically the law enforcement or military of any country the authorities to stop them and inspect them on the high seas.
The American action risks an escalation with Russia, already on edge after the ouster of its ally, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. Russian lawmakers called the capture of the vessel outright piracy.
The vessel this morning was seized in the North Atlantic pursuant to a warrant issued by a U.S. federal court after being tracked.
The White House says the naval blockade and the capture of oil tankers is part of a broader plan to stabilize Venezuela, a plan that includes the U.S. seizing and selling 30 to 50 million barrels of oil with the cooperation of Venezuela's interim leadership.
They understand that the only way they can move oil and generate revenue and not have economic collapse is if they cooperate and work with the United States.
The pressure tactics extend beyond Venezuela to Greenland.
The acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea.
The White House is still talking about acquiring the Danish territory diplomatically or militarily, despite the objections of NATO allies. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to meet with Danish officials over the issue next week.
The president keeps his options open, but diplomacy is always the first.
For both Greenland and Venezuela, the Trump administration seems to be pushing a strategy of maximum leverage, backing pressure with threats, hoping nations will bend to Trump's will. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
The U.S. Energy Secretary today clearly spelled out American plans for Venezuela's oil. He says the U.S. intends to control its sale and its profits indefinitely.
We're going to market the crude coming out of Venezuela, first this backed up stored oil, and then indefinitely going forward, we will sell the production that comes out of Venezuela into the marketplace.
And President Trump says he will be the one in charge of the profits, posting that money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. Venezuelans stuck in a humanitarian crisis coming up while the consequences are spilling over into neighboring Colombia. Venezuela holds the world's largest oil reserves, but years of corruption and mismanagement have driven the country into economic ruin. The Trump administration says it is now in control, but the uncertainty and the humanitarian crisis has not eased. The United Nations estimates 2,000 Venezuelans leave the country every day, desperate for food, medicine, and basic needs. Our Jeff Semple is near the Venezuelan border in Colombia. Jeff.
Well, Donna, we're here at a rally involving hundreds of Colombians protesting against U.S. military intervention in South America, a sign of the growing tensions in this region that's also dealing with the spiraling humanitarian crisis. This Colombian hospital on the Venezuelan border is overflowing. Many of these patients are from Venezuela, where access to health care is scarce. The situation right now in Venezuela is dire because there's practically no medical care or medicine, this patient says. The Colombian government provides free treatment for Venezuelans, and some have traveled great distances carrying precious cargo. Staff in the neonatal unit say they see a lot of babies born prematurely from Venezuelan mothers who themselves arrive malnourished and in poor health. Life is very bad in Venezuela, says Dejerlin Guerrera. Her daughter Valentina was born 1 month ago, early and dangerously underweight. She came from Venezuela's Miranda state, a nearly 20-hour drive, so her baby could be born in Colombia. Every day things get more expensive. No one knows what's going to happen. People are afraid they're running out of food, she says. This Venezuelan teacher brought her mother here after she had a stroke. She didn't want to show her face because she works for the government, but says she hasn't been paid in 4 months. How hard is life in Venezuela right now?
Mucha.
Very hard, she says. We're lucky that we live close to the border with Colombia because they have more products and much lower prices. At home, it's very tough. This hospital is already over 300% capacity, and they're now bracing for another wave of patients from Venezuela as the humanitarian situation across the border reaches a breaking point. We are preparing for a huge wave of migrants as a result of the political instability in Venezuela, says the hospital's assistant manager. Venezuelans are also reeling from the U.S. oil blockade, which began last month, preventing sanctioned oil tankers from entering or leaving Venezuela and choking off the government's main source of revenue, causing widespread shortages. We're walking around looking for medicines and for food. There's anxiety and desperation, and we don't know what will happen, says this Caracas resident.
We could see the price of things like rice and oil and coffee and basic goods really skyrocket to the extent that it could reignite a already volatile humanitarian crisis.
The U.S. is selectively rolling back sanctions.
The White House is promising relief once U.S. companies move in and take control of Venezuela's oil supply, though experts say that could take many years. President Trump is promising the money raised will benefit the people of both the U.S. and Venezuela. If Donald Trump says the money is going to help Venezuela, then we have to trust him to keep his word, this Venezuelan activist says. Many holding on to hope that brighter days are ahead. I'm waiting for things to get better, Guerrera says. I hope my children can grow up in their home country with their family. Well, President Trump is promising to help Venezuelans. His administration also recently made a major cut to foreign aid, reducing the number of U.S. funds flowing to Venezuela down from around $100 million a year to just $2 million. Donna?
All right, Jeff Semple in Colombia, thanks. Ahead, a small town mourns the loss of a boy who was attacked by dogs. A small town in Nova Scotia is grieving the death of a teenage boy. He was out riding his bike when he was attacked by 3 dogs. As police sort out exactly what happened, the community is coming together to support the boy's mother, who has lost her only child. Heidi Petracek is in Shelburne, Nova Scotia. Heidi.
Donna, this is an area of small, tight-knit communities. Most people out here know each other, which means many people personally know the family devastated by what has happened. So everyone's dealing with this tragedy, but also coming together.
I feel her pain. She's asked me to thank everybody from the bottom of her heart.
That's the message Trish Harris is sharing on behalf of a mom devastated by the death of her 13-year-old son, Drew, a boy who loved his bike. Harris is fundraising for her friend, Dawn Nickerson, a single mother in Shelburne, Nova Scotia, now overwhelmed.
She doesn't know how she would have ever gotten by, and this is going to help immensely.
Emotions in this town are raw.
The fact that something so tragic has happened, it's affected everybody. I'm sorry.
It happened on this rural lakeside road Saturday. RCMP say Drew was riding his bike when he was attacked by 3 big dogs, identified by police as 2 cane corsos, much like this, and a Rottweiler, much like this.
We know from the video footage as well and interviews that the dogs left the property as the boy was riding his bicycle on the street.
It's unclear who called 911, but first responders did take Drew to the nearby community hospital. Then he was airlifted to Halifax and later died. Counselors are now at Drew's school. RCMP continue to investigate.
Obviously, the dogs were aggressive.
Police say the dog's owners are cooperating, the animals since euthanized.
We will follow up with every lead.
This community is now focused on the family, from online fundraising, raising tens of thousands of dollars, to just money in envelopes being passed along to the family. Everyone is doing what they can in this terrible time. Donna.
Truly terrible. Heidi Petracek in Shelburne, Nova Scotia. Thank you. A new way to play. Next, will Lego's new smart bricks spur innovation or limit imagination? Kids across Canada are still enjoying the toys they got as gifts this Christmas. Many had Lego on their wish list. Lots of adults collect it and play with it too. Lego's popularity is soaring, and now the Danish toy maker is introducing a digital twist to its analog bricks. Redmond Shannon explains.
For decades and generations, Lego has been a part of childhood and adulthood. A box of bricks plus imagination to create just about anything. But that simple idea could be about to get a little more complex.
Come play in the next dimension.
Lego is now mixing in silicon chips with its plastic.
The color that it's on.
A brick that can mimic like a chameleon, quack like a duck.
This one is farting, they are laughing.
And well, you heard her. The smart brick interacts with special tags or figures and then reacts using sensors, lights and a speaker.
There's motion sensing, there's gesture sensing, there's sound sensing.
Tom Donaldson has perhaps the world's best job title. Lego's Senior Vice President of Creative Play.
What we really hope is that this brick is something they take to their brick bin and they start building freely and imagining.
But there are concerns among researchers that the lights and noises may limit a kid's imagination.
To what extent does it predetermine certain types of play where children sort of go for the effects and that's their story?
Unlike the rising trend of AI toys, the bricks are not online. But childhood welfare advocates are still concerned about the motivations of the $10 billion toy giant.
This could become a case where children are pressured to buy more and more tags in order to carry out their ideas.
When the smart bricks go on sale, the sets will retail from $70 US and up. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
And that is Global National for this Wednesday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is this birdhouse in Port Elgin, Ontario. We'd love to see Your Canada. Please email it to globalnational@globalnews.ca. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.